In this tutorial, we're going to talk about how to use CSS selectors in Scrapy. CSS selectors are a way of extracting data from a web page. Whenever we make a request to a page, we get back a response object, which is basically the entire HTML content. But we need a way to parse through this data and successfully extract the exact elements that we need. For example, all of the links or a specific type of text, or for example, if we're looking at this website over here, which we've been using so far, this quotes to scrape website, maybe we want to extract all of the quotes, right? Or all the authors. So that's the kind of thing that we use CSS selectors for. In the previous video, we briefly talked about them and how to use them in a very basic capacity. In this video, we're going to talk about them completely. Just CSS selectors, nothing else. We're going to show you many different examples on how you can use them and how you can use them in special ways to extract any kind of data. Okay, so let's begin. We'll begin from the very beginning, so those of you who were not there in the previous video will be able to follow along. We're gonna start the Scrapy shell, which is a really good place to quickly do some testing. Okay, we're gonna type in fetch over here and then paste the URL of the page that we want to scrape. Okay, now hit enter. Calling the fetch function and getting a 200 status code means our connection was successful, and now we have a response object. We can call the CSS function on this response object. Within the CSS function, we pass a string, which defines what exactly we want to extract from the response object, from the web page, basically. So let's say we want to extract all of the hyperlinks. The HTML tag for a hyperlink is A. Okay, so we'll type in A over here and then do get. This returns to us the very first instance, the very first match within the page. All right, this returns to us this HTML tag, which has the text quotes to scrape and has an href of slash, which basically means that it leads to the home page. And then it has this style attribute as well. Okay, an HTML element typically consists of multiple attributes. Okay, these are attributes. Href is an attribute, style is an attribute. Okay, so let's go over here and find where this link is just to verify. So it's pretty obvious actually that this is the one in question, quotes to scrape. Okay, right click on it, click on the inspect tool, and we can double check it over here that this is the HTML tag. All right, now let's try and be a little more specific. Like, this is not very useful. This is not useful information. What we usually want is either this, the text, or this, the href, both which are very useful pieces of information. So let's start with the text. How do we get text? To get text from any HTML tag in Scrapy, what we do is double colon, okay, then we write text like this, okay, then we hit enter, and this will return to us the text. Okay, now if you want to retrieve the text for all HTML tags of the type A, then you can do get all. All right, so now we have all of the text. These are called anchor texts, by the way. That's the name for this kind of thing, anchor text. So let's try and extract the href now. Let's look at this again. Okay, how do we extract this? So what we'll do is double colon attr, short form for attribute, then we'll open up some parentheses, and within this we are going to write href. Now we hit enter, and this prints out the href right here. We can do get all and get the href for all the HTML tags as well. Pretty cool, right? So these are the very basics of how we can extract data using CSS selectors. We're now going to take a look at some practical examples, right? This is just some basic theory. Now we'll learn the rest of CSS selectors through practical examples. Okay, so let's look at the web page now and extract some useful information. Since this is a website on quotes, it makes sense to be scraping the quotes. So I'll right click on a quote and then look at the HTML element in which it is contained. this is contained within a span element with a class of text. Now see, if I just went ahead and did this, where I do span and then get all, what's going to happen is that all of these different spans come in, and not all of these are actually the quotes. Okay, these are not all quotes. Look at this. This is a quote, yes, but this one isn't. Okay, this one is actually the Albert Einstein. This is the author. We don't want this one. To solve this problem, we're going to go over to the web page and then look at the HTML element again. We need to find something in this span element that we can uniquely identify it with. And luckily, there's this class over here which has the value text. Now, in CSS selectors, all we need to do is, where to go? HTML, where's the span? Ah, here we are. Okay, so what we're going to do is dot text. Now this is a way of automatically retrieving every span element with the dot text class. So now we do this, and now it returns all of the quotes. Alright, so let's just double check. This is a quote. Alright, this is also the second quote. Okay, this one right here. It is our choices here, and we can go over here and verify that. So now we're only getting the quotes. And now we can go one step further and do semicolon, colon, and then write text over here, and this will return just the text for all of the quotes. All right, so that's how we can do this. Now let's try this for all of the authors. Okay, I'm gonna go over here, right click on the author, and then over here we can observe that this is the small HTML element and it has a class of author. So how do we do this? I'm gonna go here, change this from span to small, change this from dot text to dot author, and then hit enter. And now I just got all of the author names. And yes, we can see some repetition in here. That's because Albert Einstein has multiple quotes on this page. All right. Now there's multiple ways of doing something. All right. There's not only one way of doing it. For example, what we could have done for the quotes over here, what we could have done is something like this. Where we did this, right, for quotes. So what we also could have done, just to be very careful, just to be 100% sure that we're getting the right element, because it's possible that there could be some other span element with a class of text in the page. It's possible. So what we could do to be very safe is to look at the parent element, this parent element over here, this div class is equal to quote. So what we can do to be very thorough is do div dot quote and then leave a space over here. Now what this new string means is that look for the span element with the class text inside a parent element which has the class of quote, and not just any parent element, a parent div. So now we're being extra thorough. So now this string will only return spans with the class of text which are within a div with the class of quote. So now we're being extra thorough. This is going to have the same output because there is no other span element with the class of text. But I'm just telling you this just in case you need it in the future. All right, let's take a look at some other examples. Let's say that we want to extract these links, okay, the author links that lead to their bio pages. How are we going to do this? You can see over here that there's not a lot of information. There is no unique class on this HTML element. How do we get the link? We can't uniquely identify this. Well, luckily there's almost always a good way of achieving this. What we can do here is, let me just rewrite this. What we'll do is okay, then over here we're going to do these square brackets, Okay, and within these square brackets, I'm going to write href is equal to, sorry. Okay, I should explain this first. Basically, these square brackets are a way of filtering through elements based on the value of their attribute. So we pick an attribute like href, and then we can say is equal to, or we can say this. Do you see this caret sign over here? What this means is starts with. Okay, starts with this slash author. And hold on, I'm not gonna use double quotes in here. I'm gonna use single quotes. Okay, and then I'll use get. Now you can see over here is that this returns that HTML element. Okay, now let me repeat just in case you didn't understand. This over here, it says get me an HTML element where the href starts with slash author. And I know from observation of the page that all of these author links, they start with slash author. Okay, let me check this one as well. Slash author. This one as well. Slash author. Slash author. Okay, and this is actually another slash over there. Okay, and we can do get all to get the names of all of the authors, or this gives us the tags actually. What we're looking for again, what was it? We were looking for the link, right? We're looking for the link. So I'm going to do .attr href, and this will filter out the link. And a small typo over there. Where does this go? Not here, I think. Hold on. href, and we want to filter by attr. So what's wrong? Okay, attr, href. Okay, I'm making a very dumb mistake over here. This is a double colon. Okay, hit enter, and now this returns to us all of the href tags for all of the authors. See, pretty cool, right? Now let's take a look at some other examples. For example, how to find all of the external links in a page. An external link always points to a web page outside of your website that does not belong to your website. An internal link is a link that points to a page within your website. So we can see over here that these are all internal links. How do we know this? Because they do not include the domain name. They don't include https / quotes to scrape.com. This is because we already know that these are internal links. So there's no need to include the domain because it's already ours. Now, this is not true for all links. For example, if I quickly pull up all of the links in this page, we can observe over here that there are two of these links over here, which are external links. This one goes to goodreads.com, this one goes to scrapinghub.com. And you can see here that they have the full URL starting from HTTPS. So this is a very good way, a very easy way of differentiating between internal and external links. So if I want to find the external link, what I'm going to do is we'll filter based on the value. All right, so we'll do this. Okay, href starts with https or http. All right, then we can do enter, and yep, this returns to us the two external links. Okay, that was pretty easy. Next, let's try to find all of the tags over here. So I'll inspect it, and then from observation, I can see that inside this div of the class tags, we have these hyperlinks with the class tag. So I'll come over here, and then I'll say .css a, or let's do div.tags. So within the div with the class tags, I want you to retrieve the a tags the hyperlinks with the class tag. Then I'll do get all. And we want the text, right? So I'll do colon text. And this returns to us all of the tags, all right? And there is some repetition again because multiple quotes have, they have repeated tags. This one has life, so life appears over here as well, etc. Okay, and that's how we can retrieve these. But what if we wanted only the first tag, for example? How would we achieve that? Well, what we could do is remove this, all right, and I think over here we use first child. Nope. I think we actually need to do this. A dot first child, and let's do this. Nope. Actually, I think this is not a dot, this is a colon. So let's try this. No, I don't think so. Nope. Hold on. This requires a bit of tweaking. Ah, there we go. Okay, so what is this? Meta class? No, not exactly what I was looking for. Actually, this worked. This gave me the first child of this div class. But unfortunately, it didn't give me the tag because this unfortunately was the first, the first child. Is there a way I can fix this? I'm still not entirely sure. A.tag.firstChild. No, it's not working. Okay, but one thing that we can definitely do is this nth child, and over here in the brackets put in 2. This will return to us the second child. I mean, okay, the first one is that meta tag, okay, but we can just go ahead and grab the second one, which is going to be the first tag. And yep, there we go. See, we got the first tag. Let's just verify this. The first tag over here is called change. And yep, it's called change over here. The second should be called deep thoughts. And oh, wait, no. This is going to be the second one, right? Because we're taking the first tag from each quote. So the second one is abilities. Okay, good. Let me just extract the text. And there we go. Okay, pretty cool, right? Now, what else can we do? Oh, one more thing. Let's assume that you're looking for a specific kind of hyperlink, like the login page, for example. This is a very common type of link that people look for. You want to automatically find the login page and then automate a login, for example. So this is the href for the login. How do we find this? Now, what we could do, which we did before, is A, and then in the square brackets say href is equal to /login. Okay, and this will return to us the login URL. Okay, and we can access the href attribute by doing this attr href. All right, see? Now, we got this, but it's not necessarily true that the login URL is going to be the same each time. I mean, okay, we can assume it because it's like this on this website, so it's almost guaranteed that it's always going to be like this throughout this website. But just one concept I want to show you is that you can do this. Put an asterisk over here, and the asterisk means that find any URL which contains the word login. This is also a pretty useful concept. Like if you don't know exactly what kind of URL you're looking for, or if you are scraping a website where there are multiple login URLs, then what you can do is just say any URL which contains the word login, return that. And this can be done with the asterisk, which basically means contain. Okay, so hit enter, and this will return to us the same thing. Let's do one more example. This one is going to be a bit complex, and this is something I cannot really do in the Scrapy shell, so I'm going to be doing it over here in our actual code. Okay, this is where you actually want to be implementing the difficult logic. The Scrapy shell is just for quick testing and, you know, trying out a few things here and there. All right, so yeah, let's begin. I'm gonna remove this because this is from the previous video. And now, what is our goal? Well, my goal is to find all of the quotes on this page which have been made by a certain author, like Albert Einstein. All right, that's our goal. How do we do this? Thing is, this is going to be a bit tricky, and the reason for that is that the quote and the author information are in two separate elements. So how do we find out? Like, so far, we've only been retrieving a single element at a time, or multiple instances of that element. Uh, but now we have two completely different elements. How do we get them? And then how do we implement a comparison check that if the author is Albert Einstein only, then should it include it in the output? How do we do this? Don't worry, it's not that hard. So let's begin. I'm going to set up this for loop over here, for quote in response.css div.quote. Do you know what this is doing? What this is doing is it runs this command just like we did earlier in the Scrapy shell, and it returns all of the divs which have a class of quote. Okay, now we're going to iterate over that selector object. Do not call .getAll over here. If you do that, we're going to get the string. We're going to get a string which is basically the HTML element. We don't want that. We want the selector object itself. And the reason for that is we need to implement further CSS selections. Okay, what we're going to do basically is this: quote.css span. Okay, what's going on here? Let me open this up and show you. You see, from my observation, this div with the class of quote contains these two spans, right? And these are the two spans that we want. This one with the quote and this one with the author information, see? And this has the quote. So we want these two spans. So what I've done here is I've executed this command. Now this looks a bit different. We're not doing response.css anymore, but quote in this case is actually the same type of object as response. So we can call the .css function on quote as well. All right? And you can even call the .css function on this object as well. You just cannot call it on an object like this, like on a string basically. Okay, then this would not work. Like you can't do one.css then, because one would be a string. All right. Okay, so what this does is returns to us these two spans. All right, we've retrieved all of the spans inside this div with the class of quote, and there only are two spans, so we have them both over here. Now this is the one with the quote and this is the one with the author, so we're gonna begin extracting data from the second span. We're gonna do author is equal to 2.css, and then we'll do small colon text. And why are we doing this? That's because this span doesn't directly have the author text. It has another element inside of it called small, which actually contains the author text. Okay, so now that we've extracted that, we can actually, let's go ahead and just yield this, just so we can verify that we've done everything correctly up till now. Next, we're going to do author is equal to author.get. All right, and now we're going to run this. Scrapy crawl quote -o output.json. Let me just delete my old file. And now let's run this. And here we go. Okay, here we go. Here are all the author names. We've done this correctly so far. Now, what I'll do is just remove this. Okay, and now I'm going to do .get over here, so we can just get the author name directly. There's no need to return the selector object because we already have done all the parsing that we need to do. So now I'll set up a simple if statement. If author is equal to Albert Einstein, then and only then do I want you to yield. What are we going to yield? One, quote, and then over here we'll do one. This is the span, and to access the text over here we'll do colon text. Then we'll do get to return the actual string, and this should be enough. Let me delete this old file and let's rerun our code. And looks like it went well. And good, there we go. We got 3 quotes. And we know from observation that there are 3 quotes by Albert Einstein. And 3, there. See? In the next few videos, we're going to explore more and more interesting concepts. The next video is going to be about XPath. This video was about CSS selectors. The next video is about the alternative method of selecting elements called XPath. We're basically going to do everything we did in this video, but we're going to try that with XPath instead of CSS selectors, so you can get a very good comparison of how the two of them are different from each other. Okay? And then after that, we'll take a look at some other concepts like link following, because currently we're only working on one page. So this is not very efficient. There are obviously a lot more quotes, right? And we don't want to manually include each URL in here. That's also not very efficient. So we're going to build up a link following system later. Okay, so they're very cool things like this that we're going to explore throughout the series. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment. If there's something you want to suggest in this series, then please do so, because we can include it if it's a good suggestion. All right, see you guys in the next video.